Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in amma ba'd. So tonight inshallah we're going to study a chapter that is quite important, and that is a chapter that a lot of things we've discussed in the past. We've mentioned impurity. Now we're going to discuss those things that are actually impure. We're going to discuss those things that are impure and how to clean it and those things like that. So the Shaykh says that when it comes to impurity on your body or on your clothing or on the floor, anywhere that has to do with religious cleaning. So we mentioned before that you don't need to, if something is impure that's on the floor or on your clothes, you don't need to wash it religiously. Only when it comes to salah and you need to now pray with clothing that is clean, then now you need to wash the thing. So if there's impurity on your wall, it doesn't affect your salah, then you don't need to clean it religiously. Religiously you don't. Yes, you don't want impurity on your wall, you can clean it, but these rules are for religious cleaning. So here the Shaykh says, وَيَكْفِي فِي غَسْلِ النَّجَاسَةِ, when it comes to washing impurity. So let's understand one thing first that's very important. It helps us here, it will help us in the previous lessons of answering the call of nature, and in our upcoming lessons of wudu. So there's four levels of things, of how to wash and how to clean. And we're going to mention them from weakest to strongest. Number one is called masih, which is to wipe. So what is to wipe? It's to take a wet hand, not specifically a hand, but you have, let's say you pour water into your hands, then you drop the water, then the remainder water you pass it onto your head in wudu, for example. That is called wiping. So whether you use your hand, whether you use a cloth, it's the same result. You don't need to use a hand, but that's called masih. Stronger than that is called nadh. It's going to come to the mas'ala just now. And that is when you take some water and you sprinkle it, you throw it on the area that is impure. So now you've thrown the water on the area that is impure. The water doesn't necessarily move from that place. You haven't squeezed it out, it hasn't flown up or down, it's staying on that place. That is called nadh. That is called, we'll translate it as to sprinkle some water on it. Number three is called ghasl. That is to wash. So to wash is the same thing as nadh. You take water and you pour it on the area, but here the water must move from the place. The water must trickle up or down or be removed. Therefore in wudu, when you say you have to wash, the water must trickle on your body part. If you just put a wet hand or so little water that it didn't trickle up or down, that doesn't count. So that's what is called ghasl. Above ghasl is the last one. It is dalk. Dalk means that you use your hand or something else you use it to, after you've poured water, to make the water reach wherever you want it to reach. Okay? So if in wudu, for example, we'll mention it in the next lesson inshallah. So when you pour water on your arm, for example, then it is sunnah to then use your hand to ensure the water reached everywhere. You don't need to if the water reached everywhere already. If it didn't reach, then you do dalk. So you have these four levels. The weakest is to wipe, more than that is to sprinkle, then third is to wash, and the fourth one is to wash with using the hand, which is called dalk. So here when it comes to impurity, what suffices is to wash. So you don't do masih, and you don't do nadh, except in one case. So you have to wash the area. But when you wash the area, then the impurity goes, however you washed it, whichever manner, the place is clean. Or if the impurity went away itself, where there's no remnants of color, taste or smell, taste when you can taste, then the place is clean. Then the thing is clean. If you're washing, and when we say washing, it means with water. Right? You wash with water. So now when you're washing, if the washing is not going, the thing is still there, then you do dalk. Then you use your hand to scratch or scrub or something to get the water out. Right? If still it's not going out with water alone, then it's overlooked. Therefore, do you need to use soap to get the water out, to get the stain out that's impure? No. Do you need to do any detergent further? No. It's overlooked in terms of Sharia. Yes, you can if you want it completely clean, but that's up to you. But in terms of, is it clean enough for salah? Yes. So then the Shaykh says that all you have to do is make sure that the impurity is gone off the area, because Allah Azza wa Jal did not stipulate for us didn't specify details how to clean. The main thing is the area is cleaned, except in one situation, and that is for things connected to a dog, the saliva of a dog. Because there Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that you should wash the area or the utensil or the clothing that has the dog's saliva of a dog on it. You wash it 7 times. 7 times. You put it under you take let's say your clothing, the area, because let's say a dog licks you on the bottom of your trouser. The whole trouser doesn't become impure. The area that the dog licked. So let's say you take that part under the tap, then you wash it under the tap, you take the water out, that's a ghusl, because we said the water must release. Then you go again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With that, it is that you should also, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِحْدَاهُمَا بِالتُّرَابِ. One of the washings, preferably the first, is with soil. Or what can take the rule of soil, and that is like soap. You can take a detergent or soap in one of the washings. Either you mix it with the water and then you wash it on the area, or you can put the soap on the trouser or your vessel, whatever, and then you can pour water over it. Then that will suffice. That will suffice to wash for that. Then the Shaykh says things that are impure. Things that are impure. Urine is impure. Urine is impure. All of the impurities we're going to mention, a small amount of it is overlooked in your salah. A small amount is overlooked in your salah. So all impurities, a small amount is overlooked in salah. What is a small amount? A small amount is when you were to look at it, most people would deem it a small amount. So no, not most people, in fact that's wrong. What you yourself would deem it a small amount. What you yourself would deem it a small amount. So it may be for you the size of your palm. Okay, that may be a small amount of blood or urine or something. Maybe that's an example, that's a lot, but you get the point, that it's a small amount that if you look at it, it's a spot or two. A bit more than that, it's overlooked. If you did not clean it, your salah is valid. Salah is not valid. Just on a sideline, if you prayed salah and afterwards you realize that there's impurity that you forgot about, or you didn't know it was there. You didn't know it was there, or you forgot about it. After salah you realized that there's the impurity, or you remember, oh, the dog licked me and it was wet, and you prayed salah, and then you realize afterwards there's the stain, it's still there. If it's gone, but it's still there. Then we'd say your salah is valid. Your salah is valid. If you realize it in salah, then if you are able to clean it while you are in salah, let's say there's a water bottle close to you, for example, while you're sitting, okay, and you were to wash it without many movements. We'll speak of movements in salah, and you were to wash it during salah, then your salah is valid. Otherwise, your salah, if it's about that's not overlooked, your salah breaks at that point. Your salah breaks at that point. So we said urine and stool of a human, urine and stool, they are impure. Then blood. Blood of a human is impure. Blood of a human is impure. And also blood of an animal when you slaughter an animal. When you slaughter an animal, that blood that gushes out, when you slaughter the animal, whether it's slaughtering, normal slaughtering or hunting. At hunting you don't need to necessarily slaughter an animal like that, but let's say you shot the animal and the bullet pierced the animal and that blood that gushed out, that blood is impure as well of an animal, impure as well of the animal. But you have blood that will remain in the veins of the animal and the meat of the animal. That blood is pure. Not that it's impure but overlooked, it is pure. So therefore, if you were to cook and you see blood, sometimes there's blood clots in the meat. Sometimes there's blood still, not blood clots, and then it's even in the broth that's there, in the water, whatever is there, that is pure. You can drink it, you can eat it, it's not a problem. Right, the next thing that is deemed impure that the Shaykh says, urine and stool from animals that are haram to eat. Animals that are haram to eat, urine and stool of these animals, it's not permissible, it's impure. So that's most likely, we'll keep it to predators for now. Predators, wild animals, dogs, pigs, etc., their urine and stool impure. Urine and stool impure. But the Shaykh is saying that animals that we can't eat, wild animals, the entire wild animal is impure. So the saliva is impure, the urine is impure, the stool is impure, the blood is impure, the sweat, etc. is all impure, Animals that you are not allowed to eat, but they are the size of a cat and smaller, a normal cat and smaller, rats, etc., along with a donkey and a mule. So a donkey and a mule, a cat and smaller, that you're not allowed to eat. These animals, their saliva and sweat is overlooked. and what comes out of their nose. So therefore, if you have a cat that drank from your milk or your water, or a rat that came to eat from something, it doesn't make the thing impure. It doesn't make the thing impure. Okay? And then the next thing the Shaykh says is that all animals that are mayta, mayta are those animals that you are not allowed to eat, they are dead. Even if you've slaughtered them how they should be in Sharia, they are deemed mayta, they are deemed carrion. Or animals that you are allowed to eat, but they were not slaughtered correctly. They were not slaughtered correctly, or they were not slaughtered at all. Those three, they are deemed mayta. So these animals, if they are dead, they are impure. They are impure. What about if they are tanned? Can you use that skin then for whatever the item is made out of it? Jackets, bags, shoes, etc. Here the scholars say, some of them say that tanning makes all types of skins pure. Then that's one opinion. Some of the scholars say that tanning purifies skins of all animals other than a pig and a dog. The third opinion is that it purifies all skins other than a pig. And then the fourth opinion from some of the fuqaha, which is the mashhur, similar to the mashhur and the riwayah thani of the madhab, is with regards to animals that you can eat, or pure animals. Animals that you can eat or pure animals, we mentioned it in the full dars. So if a person wants to be precautionate, then they can avoid pig and dog skins. If they want to be a bit less precautionate, at least avoid pig skins. And if they want to be very precautionate, then they can avoid all skins of animals that you're not allowed to eat. But if they were to wear these things, these animals, permissible. But at most, maybe avoid pig and maybe a dog. Otherwise, the scope is broader, even for wild animals, etc. Unless you want to be really precautionate and only from animals that you are allowed to eat or pure in their life. Even if the animal you're allowed to eat was not slaughtered correctly. If the animal was slaughtered correctly, then it's pure anyway, tanned or not. The skin, every part of it is pure, tanned or not. So our mas'ala is when it is mayta. Then the Shaykh says, إِلَّا مَيْتَةِ الْآدَمِ. The only mayta that is not impure is of a human. So when a human dies, its body remains pure. And then the Shaykh says that those creatures that do not have a flowing circular blood flowing in them, then that creature itself and whatever is inside is pure. So those creatures, even if there's blood inside, so little insects like mosquitoes, flies, etc., those insects, they are pure. So even if you were to pray salah and you were to kill a mosquito or something, the blood that came out, you would not need to say that it is small, it's overlooked. Rather, you say it is pure. You say that is pure. And then the Shaykh says, a fish and a locust. Fish and a locust, alive or dead, they are pure. They are pure. And the insides are pure. Right? And then the Shaykh says they are pure, and then the evidences for some of what we've mentioned. Allah says, حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ, that blood and the mayta, carrion, has been made haram for you. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, الْمُؤْمِنْ لَا يَنْجُسُ حَيٍّ وَمَيْتًا, that a believer, he's referring to a human, does not become impure in general while alive or dead. Then the next evidence, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said two types of carrion. Mayta are halal for us, fish and locusts. So that's why they are halal for us, even if they were not slaughtered, and they are pure because they can be eaten. And then the Shaykh says that urine stool for animals that you can eat, they are pure. All halal animals, their urine stool, along with that is their sweat, their saliva, the snot that comes out of them, all of it is pure. All of it is pure. Then you have animals that are pure but you can't eat. Like that's from a cat, the size of a cat and less, and also included is a donkey and a mule. These animals, their saliva and their sweat is overlooked, or it's pure, it's deemed pure. Therefore, for a cat, for example, and below a rat, for example, if they were to eat from some of your food, drink from your water, it remains pure, and you can make wudu from it. Unless obviously you can see najasa that came out of them, otherwise it's deemed pure. You can eat or drink or make wudu. And then the next mas'ala, the Shaykh says that maniyul adami tahir, that sperm from a human is pure. Sperm from a human is pure. Sperm is what comes out when a person is sexually aroused, and it squirts out. Afterwards a person feels with like energy is low. Compared to pre-seminal fluid, that is a liquid that comes out when a person is sexually aroused. Sometimes you can't even feel it coming out. This pre-seminal fluid is impure, but it's enough to clean it with nadh. You don't need to do ghusl, you can just sprinkle water over it. But as for sperm, then sperm is pure. sperm is deemed pure. You can pray salah if sperm was on your clothes, because Aisha radiallahu anha says that if sometimes Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, there'd be sperm on some of his clothing. If it was wet, she'd wash it. If it was dry, she'd just scrape it out. And if it was impure, she'd have to wash it. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would go out and pray salah in those same clothes. Then the second last mas'ala, the Shaykh says that with regards to urine and vomit from a baby boy that doesn't eat solids yet, not hasn't eaten but doesn't yet crave solids. So that's approximately around 6 months or so, where a child usually is on milk most of the time. But the moment it now craves solid food, like kind of turns its head if somebody is eating solids, then this rule does not apply anymore. So until that age, vomit and urine from a baby boy is impure, but the method to clean it is less. You can just sprinkle. You don't need to do ghusl. You don't need to do ghusl. Once it craves food, then it needs to be washed properly. And urine as well from a female doesn't take this rule. It has to be cleaned properly. And one of the reasons for that is that in the past, when there was no diapers, then a male would urinate, a baby boy could urinate, and he could go in many places. So to make cleaning easy, to make cleaning easy, we have this mas'ala of nadh. And a female would just urinate below her. And that's what the hadith says, that for urine from a female, that you do ghusl and you rush min bawl al-ghulam. From a small boy, a baby boy, you just sprinkle the water doing nadh. Then the Shaykh says that if the actual najasa, once it is gone, the area is deemed pure. So if you've washed it in the method we've mentioned, and you've done delk if needed, and there's a remainder of color or smell that doesn't want to go, then it's overlooked. It's overlooked because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told Khawla, when it came to blood, he said, يَكْفِيكِ الْمَاء وَلَا يَضُرُّكِ أَثَرُ. That if you've washed with water, and another hadith he told Asma radiallahu anha to scrape the hayd blood, then he says here to Khawla that if any remainder remains, then it's overlooked. Then connected to that, if the impurity goes away, is if impurity changes. If something is impure in a form and its form changes, where it's not that form anymore, it's become a new form, something new, it's called istihala, then istihala purifies as well. Just like, for example, a human is from blood, then he transforms into a human. Or wine is impure, haram, but it can change into vinegar. So now all the properties are changed, it becomes vinegar, so that becomes pure. So with regards to these masail, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to teach us that which benefits us, and that which benefit us with that which He teaches us. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.